Coffee's like a ritual for me now. I'll grind the beans, boil the water. I'll wash out the little French press. It has to be French press too.
Yeah,
that's the only way to roll.
That's the best for anything. Even for juices, I wish that we had a French press
for juices.
Yeah,
All right. By the way, you see this thing up where I feel like if people keep looking at me this week saying, "Oh, you got a little chocolate, you got a little something like that," it's a battle scar. Right over my lip.
Dude, I didn't even notice.
Really, I have I took a staycation with my nephews.
Okay.
My wife only has 2 nephews on her side of the family, and we went in and she gave them like a staycation in the city. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be good, relaxing. The first hour, I put one on my lap. I'm like, hey, I got your nose. And then he tried to take my face, and he sliced me.
Oh.
And then I'm looking at Janice, I'm like, something's burning.
Yeah.
And I was straight up just gushing blood for
Dang,
this kid.
dude.
Like, man, you don't play. He does not play. He's a very he's a wonderful kid. But every once in a while, you have to keep your face. You have to dodge and weave.
Yeah, my nephew's like that.
Really?
He's a very hard-handed
That's
young
what
man.
it is. It's hard-handed.
Yeah.
And I look, and then after that, I noticed the claws would be out. He tried to squeeze my face randomly. I'm like, no, you already drew first blood. We're not doing this again.
And see, to them, because you're bigger than them, they don't think that it's going to hurt as much because it's like they're little. But like those little
claws.
those claws are, man.
I wanted to text his mom right away and say, you need to cut his nails. But there's something, just a burn happening. And I'm like, oh, God, it was like a drama movie, like an old Rambo flick.
Yeah.
I'm bleeding, Yeah. But the funny thing is, he's super sweet. But then there's that one look when they clench their teeth. He's like, hey, hi, Uncle Robbie. Hi, Uncle Robbie. As soon as the teeth clench, then I know, like, oh, no, it's on. Like, we're gonna battle now.
Yeah.
But he drew first blood. Anyway, we're rolling, man.
Alrighty.
You were listening to a Chatter of Fact. Again, these are not interviews. People, they're conversations. Taylor Mallory, say hello to everybody in the world.
Hello, world. How you guys doing out there?
This smooth gent just glided on in here. Is drinking his tea. He's not on the coffee diet. He's off the coffee. He's heard too many bad things. Well, you were a kid.
Yeah,
you heard coffee tall tales.
Yeah, dude.
They would mess up your teeth forever. Anyway, this young gentleman is a mover and a shaker. Here's the funny thing about Taylor Mallory, folks. Every time I'm working, doing whatever I do in the city, and in the city, I'm kind of like I'll consider myself a Q celebrity, maybe. Not D-list, probably Q-list. But I've done enough to where some of my peers will look at me and say, man, you've done some things, and there's a TED Talk and a podcast, and the music, and I get these people saying nice things to me, like I've done a lot for being somewhat of a nobody. And then when I met you, I thought, I am not doing enough. We're one of the people. As soon as I met you and I heard about you and just talked to you, I thought, yeah, no. This gentleman is the one who deserves the accolades. Because, man, first I hear about you as an artist. That's the first thing I heard. And then Taylor sings with the band Spoken For. He's the same company that handles Final Say, the corporate group that I work with and all that good stuff. So that's how he blipped on my radar. And that's what I heard. Like, you were an artist.
Yeah.
And I heard good things about you. I still didn't even hear your voice for months later when I saw a promo video.
Yeah.
And it was, I think I told you this, it was signed, sealed, delivered. It was this one move. You did a baby. Yeah, like, oh, listen to that. I go, all right.
Yeah.
But then you were like you're an onion, man. Everything just kept unpeeling. Every week your name was mentioned. Oh, and he works in jingles. Oh, he does commercials, and yes, he'll record some stuff. Or he'll be in the commercial, And now I'm hearing, he's got a little TV role going on. So
yeah, man.
You are one of. I can't wait to talk to you because you really make me feel like a failure. You're the person,
man.
You're the person I want to talk to. Like, people, you guys are doing nothing. You're not doing enough. Meet Taylor. Let him inspire you.
It's so funny you said that because sometimes I feel like I don't do enough. So I guess we could talk more in depth with it, but I have this belief that like we're all called to be like reminders.
Wow.
And I believe that that's our purpose on earth, is to help each other see the good in us, and then eventually we see the light. And it's so funny you say that, because like sometimes I see some of my peers and I feel like, man, what am I doing with my life? And so then it's just like this, like like what levels are there? Like it's like 50 million levels to life.
It's true.
And you just never know what God will bless you with, man.
It's funny because you can look at, I like the idea of using it more as an inspiration, because I know too many people that use it as a means to push themselves down and get depressed. And that's weird to me. I can understand it, but I think it's such a bad move, because then all of a sudden, they feel like that person is depressing them. And I just want to tell them, that person isn't depressing you. You're depressing you.
Oh, yeah.
Use it as, if you look at somebody who's doing more than you, use it as inspiration. Like, oh man, wait a minute, I'm going to do one extra thing tomorrow afternoon, or I'm going to make one extra call, or one extra plan. And that's what I like about you. You're very motivational, because you're kind of unassuming when you chat. You definitely don't like wave a flag. You do it to me in a normal sense, which is why I like following you on online, because social media, I like the fact that you can celebrate and just say, hey, here's what's going on.
Yeah.
You don't boast, you just celebrate. And it's inspirational. It really is.
Thank you, man. That's good to hear. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate that.
Somebody like you who doesn't brag, but still lets us know what you're up to, and you're up to a lot. I think that's just an inspiration to anybody trying to do this stuff. Anything, too, because you do 17,000 things, it seems to me, man. So here's where the first reason I wanted Taylor on the show, folks, is because he uses a lot of the looping technology. And I work with people who loop, but on a very basic level. My Unplugged shows, the guitarist will just lay down maybe a little beat, and then maybe he'll lay down a little rhythm track so he can solo,
Yeah.
And that's it. And that was my whole experience with looping. And I saw a great video, by the way, years ago of KT Tunstall doing I Want You Back. Have you ever seen that?
No, I haven't. I would love to see it.
Man, she builds the whole song. YouTube KT Tunstall I Want You Back.
Okay.
Everybody, because she builds it, and it's great. She's amazing.
Nice.
And that was the first time I ever saw somebody really like lay it down and build something. So then I think I saw a quick video. I don't know if it was like a release party or something. I saw you doing something on a video once. I don't remember the tune, but then listening to your stuff and then hearing more about what you're about, I thought, oh man, I wanted you on just because you really build whole songs.
Yeah.
Now, do you loop on the spot? Will you do that? Will you in your show like build the beat first? And then, first let's explain to the lay people.
Yeah.
Somebody who's listening to this that's a cop or somebody who's a non-musician person, the office worker listening, looping, and help me out here. Basically, you can start, I guess for lack of a better term, kind of like a recording little sequence. Most of them are pedals on the ground. You can start a beat. My guy hits his guitar. And then you hit the pedal after you do it a couple rounds to make sure it's in time, right?
Yeah, like for me, and I use the device Voice Live Touch too, and with that device you can really do a lot of cool things. So I usually start off with like a bar, but the cool thing is I can double that. So that instead of it being a bar, now it's 2 bars or 3 bars. Like it's this double
great
legend button on the device that you can just touch, and then so you don't have to like loop it for so long. So
nice.
So it allows you to loop it and then move on to the next loop.
So folks, and if you do YouTube the KT Tunstall, it'll make so much sense, more sense than us probably trying to explain it to you. But you lay down a beat, and then you could start playing your instrument and lay down a little something, and then press the little pedal, and then that'll keep playing. And it is exactly what the term states. It's a loop, but you can lay all these different layers down, and by the time you want to jump in, you can have this kind of produced sound next to you. And like I was saying before, I had guys who do just a little basic thing, but you like really lay down like a fat, solid song.
Yeah, dude.
You'll do that live at a show. Will you just build something sometimes? Or?
Yeah, I mean, really, all my shows, it's all been well rehearsed. I guess I could do a loop on the spot, but then that like opens up the opportunity of it not going well.
Right.
You know, even though that I consider myself well versed with my device, and I rehearse hours on end of the looping, but a lot of my loops that I perform live are loops that I actually rehearse, so it's slightly premeditated.
Okay.
But you know, the crowd is it's a completely new experience.
Yeah.
And so for my specific unique perspective, I'm an R&B artist, so like I tend to start off with, you know, vocals or harmonies. I'm able to do 3-4 part harmonies with my
wait
device.
a minute. Do you have like a harmonizer as well? Or
Yeah.
Okay, so you'll sing your part.
Yeah.
Put on the harmonizer, and then the voices will add, and then that'll be a loop that goes through too.
Yeah, so I can harmonize like a loop, and then I can hit. It's called hit. The word hit. I hit the button, and then it's whatever preset I have. So I can go back to like a radio filter sound, or just like my regular voice, and
Nice.
then I can loop another vocal loop, and then I'll start with a synth, and then I'll add a bass, and then I'll do a drum pad. I like to bring out my vocal guitar sometimes.
What's a vocal guitar?
It's pretty much essentially like putting a guitar amp on my voice, and then a little reverb, and just me like.
Now,
Yeah.
you're not using one of those like the tubes that some dudes,
No
you
tube.
don't need that.
You don't need it with this device.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's so many like it's whoever created this is just genius, because and I'm pretty sure that once they created this, it's hard for them to go back and even master it, because it came out in 2012 and we're in 2018. And so like I'm waiting for the Voice Live Touch 3 to come out, and I haven't, you know what I'm saying? But it's hard because they made such a great product. It's like, how can you get greater than this, man?
Really?
Yeah.
So I think most people actually have the thing rehearsed. That just doesn't take away from the magic of seeing it build. It's just such a cool thing to see somebody build the layers. In fact, I wouldn't be as thrilled to see somebody who didn't rehearse, because then there'd be a lot of callback. Oh wait, let me start again. You know. But to see somebody like you who has it down and who can build that thing, to just witness that happening it's cool, man. Is there? Do you actually have maybe a YouTube video or anything out there where you're one of your favorites, where you're building one that's shown?
Yeah.
What's the song?
So there's a couple. There's one called if you type in Taylor Mallory Beautiful Looping, it's me looping a cover of Musiq Soulchild's So Beautiful.
Okay.
And that's my favorite one because it's musical. There's harmony involved, and I use almost every element of a basic band: bass, drum, keys, synth, vocals.
You guys have permission to pause the show right now and just go look at that. Just go watch that. And then that YouTube thing might happen, and I understand that. You can come back in an hour, because then they fall through they might fall through the Taylor rabbit hole and the YouTubing, because that happens to me all the time. So you can press pause and find that. What's it called again? It's Taylor Mallory.
Beautiful Looping.
Just do that,
or just type in Taylor Mallory Looping. I dig all my loops, but I think that the Beautiful one is interesting. It's soulful. It's upbeat. My second one would be my original song called Fireworks, because that was my first time ever looping in front of a large audience, and I was scared shitless, but it came out pretty beautifully. So.
I dig all my loops. That's the name of your next CD. You know that. Taylor Mallory. I dig all my loops.
Yeah.
So people, that's initially why I had this guy on. I want to talk about the looping thing, and I want you guys to experience it. So now you're learning about him. You guys can go YouTube the hell out of this guy, because it's really cool, and he's got a great voice on top of everything. That's the beauty of you. You're a real artist, but you're a real singer.
Thank you, man.
It's like you know how to play with the toys and enhance what you already have. But without all that, throw you in an empty room, and then you could, baby, you could just sing with, you're a great singer without it, and you know how to enhance what you have. And, what better way to go about music than that, just use what you got, but you got it to begin with. And that's the beauty of you,
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Oh, man, it's true. So anyway, people, that's why we have him on. I want to talk about all that, but then, since you blipped on my radar, I keep looking like, oh wow, and he does commercials and he does jingles, and then I hear about a little TV spot, like TV spot.
Yeah.
So you have a lot going on, man. But
Yeah.
first off, you said you grew up in Decatur, Illinois.
Yes, I am from the soy capital
Is it really?
of the world.
Fancy?
But I tell you, as you're driving, you smell it.
Yeah,
you
can
smell
smell
it.
soy.
You can smell it all through the city, like because it's not only is the soy capital of the world. There's another company called ADM, and they produce a lot of corn, corn starch. I mean, and you smell it all over Decatur. I mean, so much so that like you just get used to it. Like I went back. Unfortunately, one of my friend's fathers, he died. I went back, and I'm like, this is such a strong smell. Like, and I didn't realize until I went back to my city, man. It's just like, it's strong, dude.
You don't have like a soy room in your house just to make you feel at home? No? Just like, oh, this feels like home. Or you don't splash on like essence of soy just to remember home? You don't do that?
Nah, dog.
All right. That's fine. Well, okay, so then where'd the music bug hit you?
You know, man, I'm not sure. My father, I guess, discovered when I was 5 or 6 years old that I was singing in the laundry room, and like he heard me, and he was like, he went to my mom. He's like, I think our son has some talent, and I'm pretty sure at that time I probably wasn't on key or pitch, but he probably saw some, some inspiration that I had in music, and essentially that's where it started. And about 3 years after that, my mom put me in a junior choir. I met 4 other young boys. We created a contemporary gospel group called The Boys. It stood for Believers of Yahweh Sing. That's what Boys stands for.
Nice.
And Yahweh is another word for God.
Yeah.
And essentially that was like my first time learning how to sing, how to perform, to express myself. And it was essentially like my first music camp that lasted for like a decade. The band disbanded when I got in high school, but I mean, I learned everything. I mean, after school, we would go over to my friend's house because he lived right across the street from our elementary school, and we would perform and work on music. At that time, he had like the first version of Pro Tools, and like we would make.
How old were you?
So around that time, I was like 9 or 10.
Wait, when this kid, and how old was the dude who had Pro Tools or the first version?
He was actually the lead singer of the group. His name was Jerome Walker. His mom was a pianist.
Okay.
And I mean, it was the first.
How old was he?
We're actually the same age, so
A bunch of 9-10-year-olds figuring out a version of Pro Tools.
Yeah.
And utilizing it.
yeah, dude.
Wow, that's intense.
Yeah, it was. I mean, and this dude, he played by ear because his mom was a pianist. He played so he didn't read me, but he played by ear. He was just like a prodigy, man. I looked up to him so much, man, because he had a really good ear, and yeah, dude. I mean, that's what I did every single weekend was sing and perform with this group.
How many of you were there again?
It started off, it was 4 of us, and then we added my cousin, so then it was 5. So it's kind of like the gospel version of the Jackson 5.
So you're doing, and is that primarily where you were really learning about harmonies and things?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, learning how to harmonize, for sure.
Because a lot of people seem to ignore that craft, man, the art of harmonizing.
Yeah.
You know, people are just hitting pitches a lot of the times, but the art of blending, you know, it can be learned, but you have to put all that time in with other voices and then figure it out. And then, because after a while it becomes, I was in an a cappella group at a very young age.
Okay.
And it was the same time I was in this kind of jazz choir in college. And it definitely taught me to kind of wrap my voice around the other person's voice, and it teaches you to listen so that, okay, if that's their tone, is that as loud or soft as they're going to get, and then you match them. Like now it's second nature to think about that, but it's weird how many people don't investigate that area of singing, and because of that, you just get people hitting notes, but there's no blend,
Yeah, I found I've actually growing up, even when I went to college, I found a lot of singers who could sing, but then when it came to harmony, they couldn't harmonize.
Oh, that's a big surprise.
It was very interesting to me. It's like, well, you can hear what key the song is, so why? It's just like it was very interesting that the harmony element wasn't there.
Did you So were you primarily doing a lot by ear then when you were a kid, as far as harmonizing and stuff?
Oh yeah, like I mean, I had some vocal training from like when I went into middle school when I actually had like a music teacher.
Sure.
Excuse me, but it was all from the church, dude.
So then even at a young age, you're figuring out how to ad lib and things like that, and that was just kind of by your ear and by feel after a while, right?
Yeah, and keep in mind, I'm not from a musical family. My father does not do music. My mother doesn't. My grandparents, my great-grandparents, my great-great-grandparents. I am the only one in my entire family on both sides who was just like this. Only kid who can sing and is into music. Nobody is like that in my family.
Nobody could even hold a note very well.
No, and so the one thing that I wish if I would have went back, I wish I would have like taken some even more vocal training.
Yeah.
Because I would have developed my ear like my friend Jarrell. His mom was a pianist; she could sing, and so like his ear was just like incredible. And so I wish that I would have developed a better ear. I mean, I still had a good ear, but I would, to have a great ear, you have to always have a reminder of someone who's around your life that like, oh no, you're on the wrong key. My parents couldn't do that.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah,
So.
I didn't run into that till much later. But it's so weird, man, because when I was, you and I have similar paths, because when I was in grade school, my dad was a singer, but they kept out of the scene for like 16 years.
Wow.
Then they got back together. When they got back together, they started just building from the basics of harmonizing, and I just got to sit in on it. And eventually they let me sing a little bit till they performed. I was in the 8th grade, then they wouldn't let me. But
Yeah.
it was ear training. It wasn't, nobody was bringing out sheet music. Nobody was showing, plunking notes out. They were all using their ears. And the first thing that I noticed was, you learn how to blend, But the second thing I noticed is there was this one moment. This one guy was he had such beautiful ad libs. Even it wouldn't even necessarily be a bunch of runs and riffs, It would just be his ideas and where he would place, some of these phrases and stuff. It was just creative, and he was feeling it. And I remember somewhere around 13, feeling like, oh, hold on, like feeling the chords around my head, and it kept me, I guess, in key for my ad libs all of a sudden, So I didn't know that we were, in like a G major 7th. I didn't know that, but I could hear it, and it kept me. And then I learned how to ad lib before I could really understand music, which was interesting. It sounds like you at that, like if you guys are kids and then someone's working on the ear, you're just feeling it, and maybe I would hear something in a radio, like a run or something, and try to duplicate that.
Yeah, it was that for me, and also too, like I don't know about you, but like. Once you're in music and you express yourself and you sing, and you hear stuff on the radio, then you harmonize with whatever the lead singer is doing. Like it's like it becomes a game. You know what I'm saying? It becomes a game at that point.
We have to apologize. I think all singers should apologize to their non-singing friends, because to me that became a thing for most of the years of my life. As soon as you're listening to something on the radio, you harmonize with it.
Yeah.
And I feel like for people who aren't singers, that must be the most annoying shit that anyone
Well, you know what I wonder? I wonder if, like, when they hear us harmonize, does it sound off to them?
Oh, that's a good point.
Because to me it sounds on, but like for someone who does not hear the note, I wonder how it sounds to them.
I'm gonna go with general annoyance on that, Taylor.
Okay.
I'm gonna think.
Okay. I've never had a conversation with nobody about this, but yeah, I always wonder about that.
I think it's annoying to them, and I think the other thing that annoys them, I think the height of that annoyance happens when we're all around the table and it's time to sing Happy Birthday, because there's always one damn singer in the room that's got to harmonize with Happy Birthday. Yeah. Happy, like, oh, damn singer, just shut up. Let's just sing it. Sing the melody. We're all a family, because Uncle Joe can't harmonize with you, There's always a singer who wants to harmonize in Happy Birthday. So I'm going to go with general annoyance. I would feel like, oh, man. It would just be like if I, if my cousin the painter just decided, every time I got to get this brush out. I'm like, well, we're at the store. No, I just got to paint something.
Yeah.
Maybe that's how they feel about it.
Yeah, man, I don't know.
I'm not sure. But yeah, I guess to some it might sound off too, because it's not like the correct, it's not the melody.
Yeah.
But I don't know. But I do remember running into like other people that were more skilled. And all of a sudden, I mean, to this day, if there's a certain like minor change or something, I have to work to like hit it perfectly if I'm harmonizing.
Oh yeah, me too.
And I remember a guy that I got to get on this mic, Jeff Morrow, who eventually will get on this mic. He's he was the voice of the Green Giant at one point. Ho ho ho, Green Giant. You know, this guy is a god in the commercial world and jingle world, and he's still a voice of many things that you guys have all heard. But I remember doing a big gig with him once, and he was doing things I'd never even heard of. You know, some of the harmonies, and I remember, you know, being called out like, no, that's totally wrong, and just getting lost, like, oh shit, I have to really focus on this, doing a lot of homework. Man. So there's still times, and I'm in the same boat. If I would have had maybe more training, you know, or I wish I would have, you know, had that 12-year piano plan, you know, like, I'm so jealous of those folks.
I had that plan. Like,
did you?
My mom bought me an electric piano. Well, actually, prior to that, I took piano lessons for at least 2 years, and at that time, I was getting restless because I wasn't getting to the place of where I heard other people. Yeah. And then I Believe I Can Fly came out. And I asked my teacher, I was like, I want to learn how to play I Believe I Can Fly. And she was like, little Taylor, you have to start with the basics. And then I stopped. And, like, I'm so mad at myself for that because I wish my parents would have, like, Joe Jackson me. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I've been a force to reckon with. But
can you imagine when you see some of the people that you know that have taken over, you know, a decade of lessons, and you see how good they are, and then what they can do, and knowing if you would have taken those lessons and what you could be doing right now. Yeah, my daughter's taking lessons, and I don't, you know, my wife is really good at Joe Jacksoning her. You know, like, we're gonna do practice, you know. Yeah. So I look forward to that because, man, it's a gift if. Yeah, somebody has to kind of wrangle, you know, the kid, though. I think it's a very special kid who can just fall into that, because I took a couple of years of lessons, and I was older when I did. Okay. And it's tough when you're starting. It's really tough. Man. Nothing fun about the first 2-3 years of piano lessons. Yeah. You know? Well, so then you're building from that, and then when at one point, because I'm going to assume it's a general path that we've heard a lot of people say, you know, once you get the bug, eventually writing comes into play. Was that high school where you were writing for the first time? So,
I mean, I was writing with the group, but it really, really connected with me when I was 13. That's when I first started creating my own music. At that time, my mom bought me a 4-track Boss mixer, a Dr. Rhythm machine, and a Casio keyboard. Me and my father, that summer, we had this like little small mow lawn business, and I saved up enough money to buy a CD burner, and so. I had no idea what the hell I was doing. All I know was I was hearing music on TV, and I would literally sit on the piano and listen to it and just try to play it as much as I could. And then I would create my own music. I would invite people from my neighborhoods. We would like make songs. I would put them on a CD and I would pass them out. Like, I was the only kid in my 7th, 8th grade who was literally burning CDs and like passing his little.
At 13? At
13, I kid you not.
At 13, you were writing and distributing music already. Packaging,
I was selling illegal CDs as well, but
recording and producing and.
Yeah, dude, 13 years old.
I mean, that is nuts. No wonder you've got this thing dialed in the way you do, because that's an early start, man. Yeah, dude. Who are you? I didn't write my first song till I was 18. That's late in the game. That is late in the game.
And then guess what my first song was entitled at the age of 13? What? Commitment.
Really?
Yeah, it was about how I wanted to commit to this girl, like at the age of fucking 13, man.
Oh, that's great. No, I don't know. I was like bracing myself. I'm glad it wasn't like sex play.
Oh, like, nah.
Depending on what you're listening to.
Yeah, man. So that was my first time working with interfaces. I had a bogus program called Cool Edit Pro. It was really Adobe Audition, but and I had no idea about quantization or any of that. I was literally just moving. I recorded it into the multi-recorder, and then I would just loop it to the metronome. So it was straight up vibe. It was not like 90 BPM. It was like 91, 93, 94 maybe. You know what I'm saying?
You know, that brings me to another point. It's funny how people lately I've been seeing a lot of things online where people are talking about there's a quote. I think it was Freddie Mercury. I think the guy from Queen was talking about when he was singing. It was like this golden age of music because he said eventually technology is going to take us to where everyone's going to be perfect. And it's so weird. After I saw that, the guitarist I worked with, Dave Carl, you probably know Dave Carl.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
He was saying, man, it's so weird. I went back and I was listening to like some Journey. And he said, Steve Perry, who I consider this vocal, just amazing force, I heard like one random flat note. And he goes, I was just listening to my headphones. He goes, I never noticed it before. He said, but everything I listen to now that's in the radio is perfectly pitched. Everything. You hardly ever hear it as much, right? And then he's recognized the reason is there's literally dudes who their full-time job is making sure everything's on pitch in the studio. There are dudes with that job. Yeah. Like, I can't remember if it's called Melodyne or what.
Yeah, it's Melodyne or Auto-Tune.
So you can just basically put someone in key, and fix it.
It's a lot of work, but yeah, you can.
To where now I'm hearing there's some devices that allow someone to do it real time, like in concerts and stuff. I heard there was some technology.
Well, the device I have, you can auto-tune.
Yeah.
In real time.
So it's amazing. So he was talking about that, and he just said maybe now his ears are so used to never really hearing a bad note as often because of technology.
Yeah.
And it made me sad in a way because that didn't make somebody like a Steve Perry any less amazing. To me, it made him more amazing because he had to just really put it out there and it was real. And I kind of like knowing that there might be an occasional note like that. I don't know if you ever saw the DVD on Stevie Wonder about songs in the key of life.
There's a DVD.
There's an entire documentary.
Oh, dude, I gotta go check this out.
It is brilliant, and he replays some of it and re-records some of it. And to me, Stevie Wonder is as good as it gets. To me, him and Prince in a modern pop world or accessible secular music, whatever you want to call it, like those two guys are like the top to me. Paul McCartney too, as far as using technology and all that. I just think guys like those, the harmonies and the things that they're able to do, and they're playing multiple instruments. But Stevie Wonder isn't she lovely? Mm-hmm. He's got all the tracks up. He's sitting at the board and he says, all right, listen to this. He pulls everything down and you just hear this whacked out, funky, off-key note on the harmonica. Okay. Like, listen to that. And he goes, well, it's buried in there and it's going and it's feel, He goes, I didn't care. So even Stevie, who to me is infallible, I'm like, me, that guy, everything that guy laid down to me was perfect. He had one of those moments and it's like, man, I like that human element. I'd rather have that. In some ways it almost makes the music more relatable. It almost makes it more real, as if it's closer to hearing a concert in some ways than everything that's so processed and everyone's fixing themselves. And
I agree, man. Like I mean, I love the records where it doesn't feel like it was mixed. Yeah. I love the records where it doesn't feel like songs were punched in. I love the records that are like that are not all the way perfect, because it's like you said, it's more relatable. I mean, is life like do we walk around like this?
Robots,
like with robots and hi, how are you doing? And like we don't even act like that. By the way,
you guys can't see this, but he's kind of pop locking really well. Like, were you like a break dancer in your other life too?
I have some experience in that
too. What man? Come on. Are you one of these Renaissance dudes? So he's doing like the robot thing, but dude's doing like serious moves here on the mic. Now I want to like put the mic in the kitchen just to see if you're like, well, and then sometimes bam, and then you whip up this like culinary masterpiece. Yeah. Are you that guy? What the hell? Oh, I got work to do. There's so much work to do. Now I have to work on my popping locking. No, but you're right. There's something that more real about those recordings that are done straight up and and realistic and letting a little bit of the flaws happen. I mean, I don't know, you say that or I say that and then all of a sudden there's a CD I made with this band called Timepiece, and it's one of my best produced things I've ever done because I was working with a lot of big cats at the time. So my producing hat was like, it was never bigger, But then I'll listen to some songs and hear like a random flat note, and then it eats me alive, know. But at the
Me
same
too,
time,
man.
then I hear it on somebody else. If I hear that little Stevie Wonder moment or something else, it's endearing to me.
Because it's not as personal.
Yeah, there
If
you
you're
go.
if you're an artist, like it's a quote that I'm an artist and I'm sensitive about my shit.
Yeah, it's true. But I guess it's just a thing, man. But there's something wonderful about a lot of the stuff coming out, but there's also something a little overly robotic when you realize nobody's just letting themselves, be flawed.
Yeah.
Let yourself be flawed, because then it's as real as it gets. I also understand if you use it. I had a radio appearance one time, and the day before the appearance, it was during the holiday season, and they said, we'd like to have you sing bring in a recording of a Christmas song, and we'll run it for the week, after or leading up to when we roll the interview or whatever. I had nothing. Like, oh man, and I just did like 5 shows in 3 days. So I went to a studio, and I had this great player, at Transient Sound Studios in Chicago, a guy named Vijay. He just did one pass. He squeezed me in for like a half hour. He did one pass of like the Christmas song.
Yeah.
I was struggling. It was even in a comfortable key, but I struggled. I had a real hard time.
Yeah,
and I told him,
dude.
like, I have to deliver this to the radio tomorrow,
Yeah.
And the tail end of the song, he like nudged a couple notes for me. So, I
Yeah.
mean, it's not like I haven't all been there.
Which, from what I heard from my producer, my mentor, when it comes to putting out records, there cannot be one flat note.
Oh,
In the rec industry, when you're putting it out for the masses, there can't be. But essentially, like for some records, I think if you're putting out an album, that's the whole standard. But like, there's some album cuts that don't necessarily are always perfect keynote. But for what I've been told, when you're working on a record, there cannot be one flat note.
Well, there you go. You
So,
know. I mean, I think we all need to shoot for perfection.
Yeah.
So it's a thing, but it just makes so much sense that you're this sort of mad scientist with the technology, because knowing that you started out so young and utilizing this stuff at such a young age, and I think that also probably adds clout to why your stuff comes out so well, because I think there's something to be said for, if we don't have that ability, or if we're not able to learn through lessons because we didn't get the piano lessons, or there's not some tech guy coming to your house saying, okay, I'm going to show you how to use this technology now. You're not seeing that, then there's something very interesting about being able to feel your way around it, because then you find your own path that might give you some sounds and even some approaches that are different from the norm, and that even allows you to have your own stamp on it more so,
Yeah.
I heard David Bowie talking about when synthesizers first came out, and he kind of talked about that. He's like, nobody knew how to use them. He goes, so we just plug these things in and mess with them, and they make all these little, he actually said, like, they'd make all these weird blurps and farts, and they were wonderful,
Yeah.
and you found your way. But I think there's something to that. You did that.
What's that documentary on Hulu? It's the something sound recording.
Huh. And what does that touch on?
Oh, dude, hold on. We can keep talking.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just gonna. I'm gonna
Yeah,
search
look
this.
for it.
Let's keep talking, but I'm gonna look for it.
So this is something that you saw that probably touches on the technology.
Yeah,
and,
dude.
No way.
That I think that it'll be great for like artists and like people who have no idea what music is about.
Really?
It's
Is it primarily
sound breaking stories from the cutting edge of recorded music.
now this is on Hulu right now.
Hulu.
All right. Look for it, people.
Sound
Really.
breaking stories from the cutting edge of recorded music. It will completely blow your mind.
Really?
It goes from like the very beginning of first recordings until now, and how technology, and then when music videos came out on MTV, and then how that completely changed, how Madonna herself, how she was able to create a platform because of MTV, because she was like the first MTV music
Like
video
star?
artist. That's how she popped her whole thing off.
Wow.
And so it really just talks about how throughout the years, how recorded music has evolved into different mediums. It's very interesting, man.
Oh, that's crazy. All right. I'm in. People, if you see it before I do, email me. By the way,
Yeah.
everybody, you can always email chattereffect@gmail.com. Talk to us. Tell us what's going on and what you think, and, tell Taylor hi. I'll give him the message from you guys.
Yeah.
Man, see, that's what I'm talking about. See, I need to check that out.
Yeah, dude.
But see, that's the, again, that's kind of the beauty of you, is that you have this raw talent, and to me, it starts with that. I think if somebody doesn't have raw talent and that ability that they can hone, but they learn all the bells and whistles, then just be a producer. But it's beautiful that somebody like you can have that raw talent and then build, because then after you're figuring some of this stuff out at 13, by the time you're 18, how well versed are you in technology for producing and building songs?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that I was still very amateurish, because I didn't have a guru or someone to really tell me how to perfect it, but I knew the basics of how to record, how to patch in my MIDI controller. I knew how to record audio. I knew at that time how to use auto-tune.
This is trial and error.
It was a lot of trial and error.
Because at the time there weren't even YouTube videos to reference, right?
YouTube didn't even exist.
Okay.
I was literally just going for it, dude.
Wow.
Going for it. And yeah, I mean, the mixes sound shitty as hell.
Really?
Because I didn't really know too much about EQ, but one thing I just liked about that era is that it was just very creative, and there wasn't anything stopping me from, being progressive. Like, I didn't have to go to YouTube or social media and like have a distraction. It was purely like idea in my head. Either I started off with a vocal loop on my mouth and then play the keys, or it was just like straight vibe. And sometimes I mean, I still have those days now, but it was just a beautiful time. It was essentially like my first time just marrying music, man, and being super committed to it. So, and
then since you kicked off with like a gospel background, basically, you were honing your voice at the same time then.
Yeah.
Like, you felt good as a singer. How'd you feel as an onstage performer in your early years? Did you already feel comfortable kind of up there working it with a mic and the whole thing, or did that take a while?
Yeah, I would say around my high school times, I was pretty confident on stage. As far as was I completely comfortable where my voice was at? No. But as far as the bug of like, oh my gosh, my knees are gonna shake and I'm gonna collapse, I didn't have that. I was still nervous because I wanted to be great.
Yeah.
But as far as just, okay, this is my playground, I kind of had that in high school,
Have you had any situation where you've been like a little nervous in the last 5 years where it's just been something new? Or now you're kind of in the zone? I
mean, the looping thing, dude. If you go to YouTube and you type in Taylor Mallory firework looping, that was my first time essentially looping in front of an audience.
Okay.
And I was extremely nervous, because the one thing about looping is that if it's not in time, then it just sounds like a bunch of just gibberish.
Yeah.
And so that was my first time having to. It's really muscle memory. Looping is a muscle memory type of thing, and it's a skill set. So, I mean, dude, I get nervous to this day. Now, to be honest with you, like with our corporate gigs, I don't get as much nervous as for those.
But that's when you're primarily getting on a mic and you're just being a singer.
Yeah, and I'm just being exactly.
You don't have to do anything
exactly.
else. Yeah.
I'm just being a singer, and sometimes, my mentor, my team tells me this, that like I seem to be a little bit more serious when I loop, and like. I'm trying to find a balance of like not being in this box of just looping, because I'm a completely different performer when I have a band behind me,
right?
Because like you said, I don't have to worry about controlling my whole laboratory. You know what I'm saying? I could just be the energetic Taylor Mallory that I am on stage.
I will say this though, man, and it's funny because the first time I saw you just stand and sing was in the spoken for video, which you guys could see that too. That's where you hear this baby, 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 baby move I keep talking about.
Yeah.
In fact, when you said that your dad heard you singing at 5, that's in my mind. That's what you're just baby, 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 baby. That's just been your move. But you can hear, you can hear him as primarily just a singer, and that's doing some cover stuff. That's something that both of us do to make our living, sing with these bands and stuff, and it's a lot of fun and great people. But the interesting thing to me though is you have a brightness to you when you did that, and it looked cool, and you're smiling and you're moving, but when I saw the video of you looping, there's definitely a vibe there too, and I'm reminded of the guitarist Dave Carl again for some reason, who told me, "Oh man, I'm really sorry, you're pretty active up there, and I'm pretty boring, because I tend to be kind of mobile on stage, But I told him, like, man, you have no idea how cool you look, because for some reason he's in it, and there's a face and just kind of a vibe, and he's not moving his feet much, but there's something about the way he's engaged in what he's doing and how he's playing that just makes him look cool. And I will say, it's obvious that you have to have a different performance hat on when you're looping, but there's a vibe to you when you were looping. When I saw the video, it's just because you're focused, but you're grooving at the same time, because you kind of got this you're moving, you know, and you're putting it together, and your whole body has to move because you're feeling the rhythm of what you're building.
Exactly.
It's a different type of performance, and it's one that you're probably not thinking about because you're thinking about what you're doing when you're building your loops. But I will say equally as cool as when I see you with spoken for just as a dude on a mic.
Cool.
It really is, and it's something that I wouldn't worry too much about it, because I also noticed I saw another video where you did have to kind of do a thing, and you're getting everybody to put their hands in the air. So you have that gear too, you know. You seem to give yourself that pocket of freedom, like, oh, here we go, everyone. Guys, definitely watch the YouTube videos, man. You guys will see everything that I'm talking about. Seriously.
The balance that I'm trying to have now is my team is trying to get me to not look so serious and not make it so much about the equipment but about the people. Because in my mind, when I'm up there, it's like at any given moment, if this is not played in time, then it all is just gonna go to shit.
I'm telling you, man.
So I think so serious. I'm so serious sometimes, man.
It looks cool though.
Okay.
Because I get where you're at, but it looks cool, and I think there's something cool about watching somebody who can master something as well. Watching somebody who's a true master of this art form. Again, if you were just like walking like a robot and being very stiff and boring like a scientist when you did it, then it would probably be weird. Maybe quirky. Who knows? Maybe that would get some hits too. But there's something about the fact that you actually groove the entire time you're doing it. You're actually grooving, and we hear what's happening as you build it. It looks really cool.
Thank you, man.
More power to you if you figure out another way to put some performance art into that moment. I honestly don't know what could make it better. And I'm just saying this objectively as a viewer.
For sure.
I mean, I guess smile. I guess, but it looks cool. It looks cool. It really is watching the art. Watch the Katie Tunstall thing, because she is very personable and she's funny. But when she's building the loop, she's doing the same thing. She's kind of grooving and doing the thing, Yeah. So, I mean, more power to you if you find another enhancement. But I will say, as a viewer, it looks cool.
Nice,
you guys are going to have fun. When you YouTube with this dude, you're going to have a lot of fun watching the layers. And your music's out there, right? They could find music on every format, or is it iTunes, Spotify?
So, like, my older singles are on Spotify. The stuff that came out some years ago is straight ahead R&B.
Okay.
Straight ahead R&B. But my most recent album is on SoundCloud. Okay. And we kind of wanted to start with SoundCloud because we wanted to do like the whole underground R&B thing where we started a certain platform instead of putting it on iTunes at that time. But
that's interesting.
But if you type in Taylor Mallory, Taylor Made in SoundCloud, it's my whole album.
That's an interesting move. Like, how many people are doing that now instead of getting it out there in a broader sort of scope?
I think that, SoundCloud essentially is for those who may not have aggregator to get to the. I mean, now it's pretty much easy to get your music on Spotify, but I think in the beginning when I came out with that project, you had to have like some type of like indie record label or major or some type of like aggregator to get into there.
Yeah.
But so we wanted. I mean, we had that at that time, but we wanted to kind of like go in the SoundCloud vibe of the underground. So, because now if you want to put your music out, you can put your music out on SoundCloud. You can put a whole album out and just throw it on SoundCloud.
Yeah.
So there's like this melting pot of all different kind of artists who put their music on SoundCloud because it's free. You don't have to do all the you have to go through the system of Apple, and so it's much easier for you to exploit your music.
Oh, that's cool.
So essentially, when we put out Taylor Made, we decided to put it on the website and then put it on SoundCloud. But my new project that will be coming out real soon, that's going to be available everywhere. But as far as answer your question, if you just type in Taylor Mallory, you'll find
everything.
Some.
I enjoyed because I don't have a team. But I enjoyed using CD Baby. Have you ever tried using? I liked what they did for me because they seem to they seem to kind of place it everywhere for you. You fill out kind of one thing for them, and then they put it on iTunes and everywhere. Yeah. When Spotify came out, then they switched over and put it there too. And they give you a pretty good price sheet, and then, but that wasn't bad. I like that one too. That's another one just for the ease of it. Yeah. Because then I did hear some people who just had to put something straight to iTunes, or even this podcast. I hear podcasters go straight to iTunes. It sounds kind of exhausting to go that route. Whereas even for the podcast, there's a company called Libsyn that I go through, and they kind of, throw it everywhere. So now this podcast is on like 10 different formats, but that's interesting too. The thing when you reference team and mentor, that's interesting to me as well because you went to Columbia. Did you go to Columbia in Chicago?
Yeah, I graduated from Columbia.
Okay. Mm-hmm. What did you graduate with? What was your area of study?
So it was like a music major in music business, minor in like recording sciences.
Okay.
So when I first went to Columbia,
sciences sounds great.
When I first came to Columbia, I was an audio arts major. I thought audio arts meant producing, but that's really like the science. It's like an engineer. And so then, like, my first semester, I'm like, I'm not sure if I want to, like, learn about the science of music. I want to learn more about, like, production and the business side of it. So I switched my major my freshman year to music business management with a minor of recording sciences. So
the minor of recording sciences that was giving you the production learning? That was teaching you that stuff?
Yeah, it was like produced music. In the sense, with I literally took a class called Science of Acoustics, which was a damn math class,
It's funny that I could see how misleading that is, though. What was the first thing you went for? The arts was in the title.
It was audio arts.
Audio arts. That
and
does
acoustics.
Not sound. That doesn't sound like it would be as overly technical. That's just faking people out, man. That ain't right.
Like thinking, like I'm 18 years old and I hear audio arts. I'm thinking about beats.
Yeah. No, that
I'm thinking about engineering.
When you put arts in there, like I don't know why they wouldn't put audio engineering or audio engineering techniques.
Yeah.
I've got a degree in audio engineering techniques. That's just wrong, man. That's just like saying, we're going to take a cheeseburger course, but it's all about just like the fibers of the bun, and how you build it from a chemical balance on up. That's wrong. Listen, we're going to take the quick eye blink for you folks, and then we're going to talk about TV and a few other musical things. But this is Taylor Mallory. Stick around. Here's your eye blink. We're back. That was your eye blink. So a second for you guys, and then like 5 minutes for us to just chill and me to reheat my coffee and all that good stuff. So once we get through the college thing, so now you figure out where you're going and what you want.
Yeah.
So then you start. You're in that vibe. And Columbia and Chicago, man. I mean, I've talked to some amazing people. That place gets some cool results, man. I never attended the school, but I really like what the school seems to do for people. Some of my favorite singers in the city are from that place. They came out of that place. So once you're in there, where do you go after the fact? Because what's interesting to me is it's obvious that now you've gone through the schooling, but you did the producing thing and the singing thing, and that kicked off before you were even a teenager. But once you're getting out of Columbia or during those years, how do you segue into doing having your own releases, and then all of a sudden in the jingle or commercial world doing that stuff? How did that all happen?
Yeah, so at that time it was my freshman year, and I was a franchise manager for this painting company called College Pro Painters. My friend got me into it.
Franchise manager?
Yeah, I don't even know what the hell that means.
Okay, 'cause...
Giving an 18-year-old a franchise manager, it was kind of like a pyramid scheme, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Just to make 18-year-olds feel like they're bosses, you know.
All right, that's.
But anyway,
is that why you walked in with an easel and you're gonna show me something after the podcast?
I was ready to paint my canvas, man. So what happened was my RA, she noticed that I was really performing like at open mics, and I was just really passionate. She was like, I want to introduce you to somebody who I believe that can help you out. And it was her best friend. Her name is Sherry Moore. And Sherry Moore told me, she was like, hey, listen, I've been doing these demos vocally for this production company. They do a lot of music for jingles and TV, and they're looking for internships, and I think that it would be good for you to intern and, learn some things. So I call up there and I get my first interview. Past that second interview, I come into the room. I'm telling the story now.
Yeah.
I come into the room. I didn't know who this guy was, and he's like, okay, tell me something about yourself. So I tell him how I'm from Decatur and the boys and everything like that. He's like, okay, man, play me some of your music. So I'm playing some of my music. He's like, okay, cool. So how do you create your music? I was like, man, I'm just moving them around in Cool Edit Pro. He's like, Cool Edit Pro. And so then fast forward, he asked me, he's like, so what do you want to get out of this internship? And I told this guy, I said, well, I definitely don't want to take out the trash. I definitely just don't want to be, faxing things and getting orders. I was like, I want to learn something. And so then I asked him, I was like, so what do you do? And he says, I just take out the trash. And lo and behold, he was the owner of the company who would then be my mentor for the next decade.
Can you drop a name? Who is this guy?
Yeah, his name is Ivan Dupé.
Okay.
And heavyweight in the jingle industry, has done thousands of commercials. And he has his own production company right downtown Chicago. He's been there for a decade plus. And he essentially was like the first big brother in music to really show me Logic Pro and how to quantize my music. Before, I didn't even know what quantization was.
Explain quantizing.
So quantization pretty much means is that you're using MIDI notes, and we don't play perfectly, so it quantizes it in like, okay, a 16th note or 8th note or a quarter note.
So it nudges it where it needs to be.
It nudges to exactly where it needs to be in time. And so that's what this sequencer was that I had never experienced. Keep in mind, I would play the stuff, and then I would just figure out what the BPM was, and I would try to like map it as best as I could.
Yeah.
But with this device, which is called Logic, at that time it was called Logic Pro Express.
BPM is beats per minute for you people that have no idea what's going on in music right now.
Yeah, it's essentially like the heartbeat of the song.
Yeah.
From what I've learned. And so he taught me that. And then from there on, man, it was like it was my second music camp. Learned more about MIDI controllers, learned how to use drum pads, learned about vocal techniques, learned about, my ear, like, hey, brother, you're a little flat there, make sure you're on key, He gave me like music demo reels as far as jingles are concerned. He's like, okay, here's the spot, and I create music to it. Uh-huh. So I had he gave me at least 10 of those that I had to like just demo. And so I was essentially learning how to be a working composer in the entertainment industry.
Wow.
Versus like just making beats.
Yeah.
I had no idea that like people make money off commercials and you can make money in jingles. I didn't know nothing about that.
And you're learning from a dude that's doing it. So it's not like you're just, taking it from a professor or a teacher. Not that there aren't wonderful ones out there, but a dude that could not only show you, but show you exactly how to do it to get paid, because he was getting paid at the time, you know? So that's amazing, man. Yeah. Wow.
And so that's where everything birthed from was, me learning education in Columbia, but then getting an internship, essentially.
How long did you intern there?
My intern there for about 2 years, and from there, I was essentially a part of the team.
Wow.
We wrote for, we've done like Joel Osco ads. I mean, they've done
Are you
McDonald's.
still part of that team, basically?
Yeah, I still
Okay.
am. And right now, the wave has changed. So we actually have a music catalog that we try to exploit to music supervisors for TV commercials or whatnot. So it's like a list of already pre-made music that we can just say, here's a one-off, boom. You can use it for your MTV thing or blah, 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 or
Yeah.
a jingle. Sometimes jingles need to be a little bit more specific, like, here's the copy, now write the song to it. And we provide that service too. So it's essentially a full service production company.
It's amazing. And now these days, it's weird. I met this guy who had a studio downtown, and he found his niche now. But like 5 years ago, he was calling me and having me sing on some demos, and then he was having me like co-write some random stuff. Like he was trying to do another Cubs song and all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
And he had a real hard time, getting his songs placed where he wanted them. And these are his songs with lyrics. Some I thought were a little hokey. Some were pretty good, But he was putting it out there, and it didn't work out for him. And then I talked to him like 5 years later to work on a quick project for some TV show or something. And he ended up telling me that now he's made it. Now he's rolling it. And basically for him, what worked out was taking anything he'd ever written with lyrics, taking all the lyrics out. And he's basically just using all the tracks for his music, just music tracks. And, in no time, he built up this huge catalog. And he's out there just, he said, sometimes, I get this check for $10. Sometimes it's a check for $2,000. He goes, but he goes, it's the numbers. He goes, I have it all out there. And then he told me to do something that I can't even do to some of my stuff on my voice print CD. He said, put out, go to like a music production house, give them your songs, but then give them your songs without your lyrics in it. And some of my stuff was produced in a weird way in somebody's basement that I had mastered later, but that the guy screwed it up and I couldn't even separate the tracks anymore after we mixed it. Like, oh man, So I'd have to go back for that. But anyway, he made his money mostly. He told me that's the way to go, that he's having more success with the music alone, for him anyway.
Yeah.
But are you guys seeing more success in that too? Just this giant music library, because then you could use it for anything, or are you writing a lot of lyrics for things?
I think it's a combination of both. You know, we have already established catalog, but as you know, like an Empire or a TV show, they want something that's very specific.
Yeah.
And a lot of times people are looking for songs, because songs are moving people more than instrumentals,
Yeah.
Especially with this whole streaming wave, is that people have more access to music, so it's not just music beds they will listen to. They want it to be songs that move people. So we have a combination of both established catalog, and we're writing songs as well for newer content that comes out.
So sometimes they'll ask you guys to write something that's very specific for like a product or a store or something, but then other times they'll just say, give me a dance song for the scene, or give me a love song, or so it's everything.
Yeah, like we've gotten a call out for like a NBC Uni, which is NBC Universal, and it's like, this is for Park and Recs. It's a dance club scene, and we wanted to sound edgy and poppy and colorful, whatever the hell that means.
Yeah.
And so we go into our catalog, and then we pitch some of our catalog, but then we also sometimes just create something off the rip, because you just never know that maybe that song that we're submitting to them is maybe dated.
Yeah.
Because you have a catalog, but time moves on. It's not like time's going to sit with your catalog. Time moves on. And so you have to adapt with the times. And so we do a little bit of both.
How interesting. And then for people like NBC, or even, no matter how big an entity is, it's probably still more cost effective for them to go to somebody like you guys as opposed to using like a Beatles track or a Prince track,
Exactly.
Okay.
And they create these blanket licenses for specific companies like this, because like you said, they try to go to like you said, Beatles or the Eagles or Michael Jackson's like, okay, to license this is going to cost you $4 million versus going to a production company. Can you do a song like Prince, but it cannot sound like Prince? Can you do a song like, okay, we'll pay you 2 G's, 3 G's, 4 G's.
What I like about this is that in a world where even established acts are starting to notice that there's a decline in money.
Oh yeah.
Mainly because of things like Spotify and things like that. The sales aren't making what they. We may never see sales. Actual song sales do what they used to do. I don't know if they're going to build millionaires in 10 years.
Well, just recently, they increased the streaming payout for artists for Spotify.
Oh, that's good. I'm gonna have to start checking some records.
Yeah, I don't know I don't know the actual cent, but it
is funny. 'Cause I'll see like 300 people listen to some of my tracks this month, and then you get like, and there's your $3, like, because it was like 0.01 cents, or it was something crazy, very small, so that I would make more on iTunes. iTunes is pretty good to me because I think if my track may sell for 99 cents, and I think I get 70 cents from that or something like that, so that's obviously better. Same thing with the CD sales, but Spotify. It's interesting because I was talking to one artist who says, I don't think about the money. It's getting my music out there. As long as my music's out there.
Yeah.
But, it depends. Everybody wants to get paid at the same time.
Yeah.
So it almost seems like the commercial or the production niche is almost a safe haven for songwriters and people if they want to try to get paid with their music. Because, right now the regular channels aren't exactly doing that.
I agree with you. And I think that, like, artists now have to have a different type of mentality. Like, to go in as a independent artist with no huge record label backing, even an indie label, you cannot expect to have a $70,000-$80,000 career, income, unless you are touring the shit out of your stuff with like little overhead. And like that takes a team, and that is the plus of, or the pro of signing to a major record label, because you might have signed your life away, but the beautiful thing is that you don't have to put in all that extra work, and you actually might make some money, but you're essentially
you're a slave to that company.
You're essentially a slave to that company.
Yeah.
But that is just like the balance out. Or you could be like a Chance the Rapper who's like, I'm not signing to anybody but myself, and now he reaps all the benefits. So the road to be an indie artist is beautiful.
That guy did that?
Yeah, dude.
I didn't know that.
He didn't sign with he signed to himself.
I wonder how he pulled that off. Just he had the underground cult following first.
Well, I think what he did was he was able to, like you said, cultivate a certain type of audience.
Wow.
And he's smart. He's like, why would I give my impact to a record label for them to own me where I can just do it myself?
But he beat the system by getting it out there, because it's so weird. Some people used to yell at me about publishing and, I'm not going to give 50% of my publishing to this company. And I would always say, yeah, but you're getting nowhere with your music. If this publishing company happens to get you, if they're the ones hunting for you and they're getting you all this deal, and they're getting you placed, and for 2 years you've done nothing, a 50% feels like a lot, or whatever the percentage is. Like, I'm willing to give up a decent percentage if someone's going to do something with my music, which I'm doing nothing with at the time. You know what I mean? Like, if you're going to take it to the next level, then you deserve, a chunk of this pie. I believe in that. Where some people are like not willing to give away anything. Yeah. But he did something that nobody could do, because the hardest part is cultivating enough numbers.
Yeah, it's a audience,
because he's major. He's a superstar.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
And what I've learned from my mentors, I think that a great thing that Chance has done is he's been able to create shelf space for himself, and that essentially means that there's not. I mean, there can be carbon copies of him, but like, there's not. He created his own shelf space as Chance the Rapper, and I think that's the beauty of and the challenge of being an artist is of how unique you can be, but actually it's authentic, and how it can aggregate a certain type of crowd just from your brand and your authenticity, and I think that's what he's been able to do.
Oh man! So now you have a lot going on because you're doing the commercial thing still.
Yeah.
And then you're in the corporate singing world. You and I work for the same company doing that. And then you're doing the original artist thing, and you're toggling both of that, which is amazing. That's really hard. I think I do, at this point, I do less than 10 original shows a year.
Yeah.
You know, I do maybe 20, I don't know, maybe 30 unplugged shows, which is kind of a meshing of my original stuff and then mostly the cover stuff. But the majority of what I'm doing is in that cover band world for the, the corporate parties and all that stuff and those concerts. But you're able to delve a lot more into your own performances. Yeah. And you're pulling it off. I know that's hard. We talked about that not too long ago. Like the tug of war is very tricky, but it seems like you're finding a way to keep all these fires burning. On top of that, you got some screen time in commercials and stuff. So how did you go from writing jingles to, oh, wait, I'm going to put my pretty face right in there?
So going back to that whole reminders thing that I mentioned earlier, like for me to say and speak to you and say that this is how I was able to do it would be completely false, because it was a lot of people who helped me to get where I'm at today. So specifically going to the whole commercials thing, my mom used to be my manager.
Okay.
And I had a non-exclusive contract with a talent agency called CTA. I'm not even going to say their name because
it was bad, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
And maybe
how old were you then?
19, 20.
Had you had acting experience at the time?
Yeah, in high school, I had done Footloose, I had done Pavlo Hummel, I had done Of Mice of Men.
Okay. Did you have some major roles in those, or were you kind of in there?
I was the lead role.
Okay.
So in my high school, I was the black Ren McCormick in
Look
Footloose.
at you. Wait, you in Of Mice and Men too? You had like a pretty big role?
Yeah, I was the, I guess like I forgot his character, but he was somewhat, specially challenged.
Yeah. Lenny? Like the big dude?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
That's a challenging role, man.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
So you have some layers to you.
Yeah, dude.
And was that all through high school drama, or did you take acting classes?
It was high school drama. It's so funny because at that time I was playing track, and me and my girlfriend, we made a bet. I was like, listen, if you come to a track practice of mine, I will come to your drama thing. Uh-huh. And I went, dude, and I ended up loving it.
Wow.
So yeah,
that's a deep role. I mean,
so much so I stopped sports to like fully commit to acting.
I mean, doing something like that in a high school level, the mentally challenged role, that's having to be quite vulnerable for that age, without going through like years of acting school, to do that particular role.
Yeah,
man, it's impressive.
Thanks, man. And so, like, to fast forward, I've got to mention at Columbia, I did take some acting courses as well. And so I got some acting through there. So I left CTA, and then I got signed on as non-exclusive to Lily's Talent, which is my talent agency now.
Okay.
I was non-exclusive, and I kept on booking work, so then they signed me exclusively. And I was just at that time on camera, but then I started doing print ads. And then they were like, well, have you ever thought about doing voiceovers? So I just done a couple voiceovers, and I booked my first voiceover was for this small company here in Chicago. They are ad agency. They were ad agency for Coca-Cola, and it was like a demo commercial. So I started to build my weight up in like demo commercialing for voiceovers, and then I got my big one doing Coors Light, which was a national. It was Chicago, Kansas City, Atlanta, and New York. It was a really weird market.
Okay.
So that one wasn't national, but I booked that. And so then that's how I got into the union. As a SAG-AFTRA union member, was through my Coors Light commercial.
Voiceover.
And people can find that on YouTube as
really?
well. Yeah.
So then what... Those are all different characters, basically.
Man.
Like how diverse was the tone and the voice you had to make? Like, what was your first paying voiceover gig? Do you remember?
Yeah, it was. That one was like a narrator. I was able to like kind of how I'm speaking now, but a little bit more motivational.
Okay.
So they were looking for I'm sorry, that was for Gatorade. My Gatorade was the first one I ever bought. That's online as
And
well.
what is your tone and what is your sound in something like a Gatorade voiceover? Do you remember, like, how did you have to speak for that? Was it just Gatorade is thirsty, or was it less formal? Or?
It was less announcer, more like young kid motivational. Like, when you're a team, this is how you can progress in life. You have to. It's kind of like how I'm talking now.
Okay,
yeah.
then what is the voiceover you had to do that was like furthest from you?
Yeah, furthest from me was, to be honest with you, everything I booked has been kind of somewhat closer to who I am.
That's
like,
pretty cool. So they just like your sound and your vibe, you know.
Yeah, I've never done one like a Jeff Moore, like a nerd. Like, well, for one, my voice is not deep at all.
Sure.
So the stuff that I get booked for is like young teen, young hip, cool urban dude.
Oh man, that's cool.
So for like the Coors Light, it was like, yo, search for the coldest is back. Sitting here with the blah blah blah. You got Ice Cube. Like, it's like that, you know.
That's awesome. And someone's directing you when you're doing this, or are you kind of doing it at home, producing it? You send it in, and then they send back like, oh no, we need younger, or we need it crazier, or bigger, or whatever.
Yeah. So the voiceover world is very interesting. It's actually it's way more challenging than any other industry in the entertainment industry because for one, there's so much competition. You could be like the size of the United States and do like you can be and look anything.
Oh right,
and be a voiceover.
Yeah.
And so for me to answer your question, I'm sorry, what was the question?
Well, basically, are they like directing you, or
yeah.
Is it okay?
Okay, so the agent they send the copy that the client has. We get the copy at home. I do all my voiceover auditions at home. You do the copy, you send it to your agent, they send it to the client. You'll know if you got it if you get the call.
Okay.
If you don't get a call, you didn't get it.
Now, if you get the call, are they just asking you for content and then you're doing that at home and sending it and then they're giving you notes, or are you going somewhere and there's like a director directing you?
So there's like they book you and then you go to CRC.
Okay.
So that
CRC is a big old studio in Chicago, folks.
And so, like, my first Coors Light was recorded at CRC, and then you do the take, and they're like, okay, how about instead of saying Coors Light, how about you just say Coors Light?
Okay.
You know, like, it's little stuff, you know, or like enunciating, like, but instead of saying Coors Light, Coors Light, like, it's just, it's just like little, you know, indications. And like,
that is so interesting, man. But it's good that you fell in with the right people too, because I would imagine even some of your relationships with Ivan, you know, can help cultivate some of that stuff possibly. I would imagine, like, it started to cross pollinate in a way. Like,
because he was the first person to show me like a script. It was like, when you're doing music, this is how the voiceover is going to sound. So you have to make sure that your music is like flowing with the voiceover. So he kind of did like a mock of voiceover when he spoke to me. But from there on, it was literally me. I've never had voiceover training. It was literally me listening to commercials and me doing thousands. I mean, I've done thousands of voiceover auditions, dude. You have no idea. I did one today before I came in. It was for Rice Krispies.
Really? Like, can you give me a sample of what that sounded like? Can I get a sample of your Rice Krispies audition? Do you remember a piece of it?
Dude, I don't even remember. I just went for
Snap, crackle, pop. I'm young and I'm hip. Hire me, please. Just pour milk.
But
all right,
to bring it all in.
Did you say Snap, Crackle, and Pop anywhere in there? Ah, damn it! See, it's a lost brand. They're not using Snap, Crackle, and Pop anymore.
A lot of voiceover work now is moving toward like conversational, natural voice. You know, the first time, announcery.
Yeah, I remember whenever White Castle came out with this "What You Crave," it was the first time. Though that it seems announcery now, but it was the first time I felt like this is just some dude talking. Like, you just chugged a beer, you know, it's what you crave, you know, because I felt like all I was hearing until then was kind of the, and now, you know, where now I guess they want it more real and accessible to, you know, young people or real people. I don't know. I get it.
Yeah. Like in my last, my most recent booking is I booked a national radio commercial for Walmart.
Okay.
And in this spot, they had copy, and I read it, but they were like, we want you to say it how you would talk to one of your guys. So I was able to say, hey, bro, You know, like, hey, man, come on, man, that ain't cool, man. Stop tripping. Like because they want it as natural as possible. Because
did you like go straight up now? You're like, man, but aisle 3, that's some bullshit. Like, whoa, dial it down, Mr. Mallory.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, I can't say aisle 3. No.
Yeah.
You didn't get that real with it, because that would have been great.
Yeah, but
I almost kicked the shit out of this one cashier, but I wanted to get to Walmart. You know, my ass was tired too, but I went. Like, damn it. Dial it down, please. That is too real.
Yeah.
Like, all right, fine. You don't like my shit. You don't like my shit.
But yeah,
that's
man.
a session I want to sit in on, by the way.
Yeah, dude.
Taylor gets too real for the
when shit gets real at Walmart.
The funny thing is, like, that take like accidentally gets out there and it makes you $1 million.
I know, dude.
You just changed the industry,
dude. It's always these stories in the voiceover and actor world where like people just take risk, and really like this is at my age. This is what I'm learning is that the more risk you take, that is the more like people are apt to book you. Because in their mind they're like, oh, well, we wanted to sound like that, but that was kind of funny. Oh, that was kind of interesting. So maybe he's more directable. Because if you just do it straight ahead, it's like, oh, okay, well, we've heard this before. But when you're like, when you take a smart risk,
yeah,
you know, it gives the client. I've learned funny is money. And so, like, it gives the client some, like, humor. Like, oh, okay, I didn't know we didn't think about it like that way. So let's bring him in and see what he does. Because if we felt,
wow.
if that moved us a little, it might move someone else on in the, in their car. And so, like, that's how I'm just learning that, man.
And that has to be so hard, too, because you have to just hope it's the right risk,
Yeah.
for their ears. But it makes sense because, like you said, or you were kind of alluding to that earlier, it has to be even more competitive than the acting world because the acting world's hard enough. We want, there are a million. You see a line for 1 million pretty people, but then in voiceover work, it doesn't matter how you look.
Yeah,
and a lot more people probably have talented voices than people have pretty faces and perfect bodies for this role. Yeah, that's tricky, man. That is tricky. I remember the first thing I ever did for Jeff Morrow. Who you guys eventually I'm gonna get that guy on the mic because that guy has some serious crazy stories to tell. He's one of those guys that made riches from this industry. But I remember he called me because he needed to assemble this like 5-piece a cappella group for McDonald's, and he said, yeah, we need different ethnicities and I think we got the white guy already, and we're still looking for like one more African American. We want like a guy with like Hispanic descent. So there's you. I walked in, they gave me a sheet of paper, a lyric sheet, and it was My Girl.
Yeah.
And I thought, I've sang this 1,000,000 times. I could nail this, And I heard like 3 Hispanic dudes in front of me just kill it. And you realize that, everybody's good. Everybody.
Yeah,
it has to be what they're looking for, I was glad I booked it, and it was a happy moment. But you realize, like, man, competition is stiff,
especially when you have someone like if Jeff Morrow calls you in, it's not like you're an amateur. Like if he calls you, because his name and reputation is on the line as well. So if he calls you in, and it's like 3 other, like, they're all probably beasts too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree with you, man.
I was in that room and I heard these amazing vocalists and just thought, well, this isn't gonna be as easy as I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy. I appreciate him because he's still randomly. Well, he's giving you some work too, right?
He has, man. Actually, Jeff, and I've never met Jeff.
That's crazy.
In person.
Yeah.
I tell my mentor this all the time because my mentor, Ivan, has actually worked with Jeff for years in the jingle industry. Just, hiring him through, for commercials and stuff. Yeah. But I've never met Jeff in person. But we talk via text and via Facebook all the time. And I feel like I've met this dude and I know him, but like I've never met Jeff.
He's a good guy, man. And like, folks, again, I think he might have done the Tony Tiger thing once. I know he did the Green Giant thing, but even when the first Batman came out, I think he was doing those commercials for McDonald's. The Batman Happy Meal. He was doing all. He's just in it. And when jingles were really making crazy money, he was the king of Chicago, you know. And he brought people with him because he still has this core of like superstars in the jingle world that can still sing, by the way.
Yeah.
Can still, you know, one of these days I have to get Joan Colossal out here.
Oh, yeah.
I worked with her a couple times. The work I've done with Jeff outside of that big McDonald's gig was mostly other showcases where he just had to put together like an 8-piece choir or something. He was pulling me into that stuff, which was great. And she was on one of them, and just, you know, the shorthand he has with these pros, just amazing. The favorite shorthand I ever heard was we were ending this choir piece, and it was for some showcase in Indianapolis that he had to be the musical director for, and he turns to this vocal monster, Joan Colossal, who, you know, she's been in it for a minute. She's, you know, she's an older woman who can still just deliver.
Chops, yeah.
But I remember he just told her, like, okay, you know, when we end the final note, final chord, Joan, I need you to just really embellish, and, you know, and she looks at him like, you know, kind of side-eyed. Good times ending. He goes, yeah, good times ending. You know, ain't we lucky we got a good time. You know, she just knew. She referenced like good times. Like they had their code was like, oh yeah, that TV show Ridiculous Runs at the I got you.
Was that her? A good times?
Oh, then that I don't know. It could have been.
Okay.
But she just referenced it as like, you mean that kind of like crazy run at the end. Good times ending. I thought that was so funny that they had that kind of shorthand. You know, it wouldn't surprise me if that was her, though. That's interesting. I'll have to look that up now.
Yeah.
But that's good. But then when you moved on to actual like being like the screen role, how was it? How was your first time being on like a commercial set where you had to have you delivered lines in a commercial?
Yeah, I was 19 years old, 19, 20, my first time. So like actually 19 was like the same. Well, I take that back. I was like 21 when I started getting voiceovers. 19 is when I had my first on camera. It was for this commercial called SaveAndInvest.org. The actress in the commercial has made it onto big time. Her name is I'm messing. I forgot her name. Sorry.
But she's out there.
No, she's out there. She's on Real Husbands of Housewives with Kevin Hart.
Okay, so when you're stepping into there and you've mostly done like productions elsewhere, but now you step into a professional commercial setting, what was the difference? What was the big shock? Was it like hitting your mark or things like that? Or what was the big shocker that you really had to think about? Like, okay, this is a whole new ball of wax.
I think it was it's what you said, hitting the mark, being natural, learning how to be natural while you're shooting. And essentially just dealing and collaborating with others on set. I mean, it's not something that's so like a hard brain rocket science thing, but you have to learn how to be as natural as possible. You have to know your camera cues. You have to know your blocking. So it's like a combination of it all. But I was extremely like nervous because it was my first time shooting a commercial.
Yeah.
But I think also too, since I had that background in performing as a kid and like being out there, I wasn't like I didn't freeze when the camera came on. It was really just learning of like how to be as authentic and natural and just listening as much as I possibly can. So so 19 years old when I was my first time booking my commercial.
It's amazing because on camera you have to have a more realistic, natural vibe. Whereas on stage, I think stage actors are the greatest actors in the world, in my opinion, and because they hone the craft and they know how to truly pull from every emotion. But at the same time, they have to speak to the back of the room, so it's just bigger. It's a lot bigger.
Yeah.
But then when you're on camera, everything's just small and tight. You know, I mean, I haven't heard Will Smith talking about when he went into movies as opposed to TV show Fresh Prince with a live audience. He said the same thing. Everybody kept having to tell him like, it's the big screen. You're smaller. Just be everything's smaller. And it's weird because I've noticed that I've done more independent film work or on camera work than I've done stage work. And I still, if I'm casting something, for the most part, I try to find theater people, though, because I just love their craft.
Yeah.
Especially if it's something that really has to go 1,000 miles per minute and then suddenly stop and start crying and this whole thing. They're just brilliant at the craft. The only thing I've ever noticed is that you have to dial them down just a little bit because they're used to everything being so big, from the motions and everything. And I get it, but once you're on that camera, you almost have to be even more realistic, and you have to do it in this weird, unrealistic time frame. And it's weird, like, we need all this moment in this like 5-second take and then cut, and it's interesting, man. But you're in it, because then you got the TV thing. Can you talk about the TV role?
Yeah, I can. So just recently, I got booked for Chicago PD.
Okay.
This is my first TV series. I've done a slew of commercials, but this is my first TV series premiere. I can't really go into detail about what happens in the episode.
How about your character?
But my character is really funny. He's pretty much like he's a felon, but he's like one of those funny felons. He's a musician, actually, which is so funny. I was like, this is perfect.
Nice.
This is perfect. He's just one of these like hustler, creative musician people who just has a slow temper and just had a bad start in life because his father wasn't there.
Okay.
He beat up his landlord because his landlord raised his rent.
So when you're put in this situation, walk us through this, because now this is a whole new thing. So you get the gig.
Yeah.
What happens first? They send you a script, or do they meet you?
Are you saying before the audition or after the booking?
Let's say before you're already booked, because
Okay.
we've heard some audition stories.
Okay.
So once you got the audition, everything's down. You are booked.
Yeah.
What's the first thing that happens? Are you meeting with somebody and getting handed your formal script, or is a script sent to you? Like what?
So pretty much the script that you audition with is your script.
Okay.
And so the AD, the assistant directors, they're the assistant to the directors. They will send you like one script and then it changes. Like in TV series, the script changes literally like 4 to 5 times.
Uh-huh.
I had one script and I got email after email of like, now they call it the green page, and then the pink page, and then the blue page. I guess it's like code of like, this is the first draft, second draft, third draft.
Gotcha.
But they put it in like color terms. So long story short, I received like the final script, and it's really just about getting into character and like knowing, just making a smart choice. Luckily, the guy that's on Chicago PD, I know him. He's one of the main actors. His name is Royce Hawkins. He was able to give me some OG advice about just don't come with such strong choices that you can't really maneuver in your scene. Just have a choice and then be able to be ready to just move as directed.
Oh, nice. That's good advice.
And so essentially when I got booked, it was really just like, and what's so funny is like you have all these nerves at the audition, but then like there's a completely different type of feeling after you book it, because at that point it's like I have to go in and be excellent so I can get my next gig.
Yeah.
Versus like, okay, I booked it, I did a okay job, and then nobody remembers you. And so for me, to answer your question, after I got the script, it was really just going over the lines, making sure I knew the lines, over the lines, making sure I had the right choices. And then pretty much going on set, they give you a trailer. You sit in that damn thing for about 4 hours.
Was it a nice trailer?
Yeah, it was nice, man. TV, bathroom, shower. It was cool.
You're sitting in there, and then you have your lines, memorized at this point. But then once you get on set,
yeah,
how does that work out? Because you're not really saying all your lines all at once. It's different scenes, different setups, right?
Yeah. So for me, I'm in technically 2 different scenes.
Okay.
In this.
So
episode.
what happens? All right, let's say scene 1, like you're going through your lines, you're doing it. How much direction and line change happened within that scope while you're doing your part?
Well, this first part, it was only 1 line for this first scene, but they moved it around. Literally, I think we did it 4 to 5 times. And it's really like camera angles. It's like camera angles on my reaction to when they bust me.
Yeah.
Camera action to when they come through the door. The camera action of when they come through my house, which I've learned on set. Like the stuff that we see on TV, it looks like it's during the day, but it's not. Like the outside stuff is really the outside stuff. But if it's ever in a house,
yeah,
Most of that stuff, dude, is shot at night, and they just bring in like the natural ass lights and make it. It's almost like we're in this. Okay, well, we have this podcast show, but it's almost like if we're in this room and like we know it's day out, but just imagine if you like went outside where the light was, that it's completely dark. Like it looks like it's light outside right now.
They're
right?
just booming those lights through the windows.
They make it look like it is daytime. It's scary, man.
Wow,
That's
crazy.
Scary, dude.
Yeah.
It's not scary, but it makes you think that like what it like if I was a director or actor and I wanted to live in this world and I owned all this equipment, I could just make it look like it's day all day.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And not know. Anyway, long story short.
That's a cool side note of info, but yeah, that's fun.
Yeah, man. But it was super fun. So first day we just shot when they busted me. The second day was the interrogation scene.
Okay.
And one thing I've learned about working with actors who are lead characters is that to them it's just another day at a job. It's kind of like when we go show up for our gigs. It's not like another day, but it's just like. It's another gig.
Yeah.
And so in my mind, when I went on set, I thought it was going to be like this, going over the scenes, and it's really like you just have to be prepared. Like you come through, it's like 50,000 people on set. You have some people assisting you to the set, and it's like and go.
No rehearsal.
Like one rehearsal, but it's like and go.
Yeah.
Like and so.
So then that had to feel good though, because it feels like when you're dealing with a solid actor who's been in a role for a while.
Yeah.
They feel that they're in it already to where it's second nature. You feel like you're playing ping pong with a pro all of a sudden.
Yeah.
That back and forth must have felt really cool.
Yeah, because I was able to play around with it and they're very they're professionals. So like for an example, before they even say action, like we're already in character. I'm already acting like I didn't commit this crime or I didn't, and they're already looking at me, so it makes the situation better versus like, oh, so how was your day? Oh, your day was cool. Like, so.
And then action.
Yeah.
So there's a little method going on both of your parts, huh? Like before those cameras say action, before that you're kind of in it and you're already feeling it out. It's funny. I did this guy, like a real sweet, nice guy who like loves to party. I was doing a short independent film that may never see the light of day. I mentioned it a lot, but anyway, we're doing a fight scene, and it's just so weird. The first time I ever had to like do the scene with the guy, it was weird looking in his face and having him look at me like he wanted to kill me. And this was like 60 seconds before they did the countdown before action, and it's just weird seeing that moment. And I believed it. Like I believed like. This is not my friend anymore. This guy wants to kill me,
Yeah, man.
But it's so interesting seeing that gear change, because I think I'm more internalized anytime I've ever done anything on screen. I'm just kind of quiet and I'm thinking about where I am when they say action, where I'm not. It's not as outwardly method, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to see that. That's cool, man. So then, good for you. So then you got through it. Were there many line changes in the heat of battle right then?
No, man.
I stuck to the script.
The director really liked my choices. He didn't give me any notes. Like,
wow.
like when we were done, he's like, "Man, I love what you're doing." He gave me one small note of like an inflection on a word. He was like, but other than that, I don't really want to change what you're doing because I think it's working for the scene.
That's fantastic, man.
And so that's like, that made me feel good, And then it's like, okay, hopefully I can come back sometime and do, something else. So it was just a really beautiful experience, man.
Yeah.
I must say it was really, really dope, man.
How long was the whole process for the shoot? Was it like 2 days or was it longer or shorter?
It was 2 days. My call time, I think it was like 1:00. We didn't start shooting until 5:30. We didn't get done until like 6:45, 7. Next day, call time was like 3. We didn't shoot until 8:00 at night. Didn't get done until like almost 10.
Wow.
So a lot of the job is waiting.
But look at you, man. I mean, that's what I'm talking about.
Thanks, man.
You're an inspiration for people to keep, find every avenue because you just don't know where you're going to end up. Now, good for you. You love all these different things too,
Yeah.
I get it if somebody just loves acting or just loves music, but man, if people have any kind of inkling toward anything, it's almost like even if you don't have a love for doing a jingle work or something like that, if you're in this industry, the more the more flames you have going on, the more pots on the fire, the better, because man, it's hard out there.
It is. And I just encourage any artist, like, you weren't placed on this earth just to be one thing. Like, there's no way that if you can sing well, that you can't act. There's no way that, like, if you can act, that you can't. Well, I was gonna say you can't sing.
Right. but
that
I
takes
get
a little bit more.
But I get what you're saying. Performance arts and levels, and there it's all just out there. I did not sign up to be to work 160 days a year in a cover band. That wasn't the first dream. However, I did dream about being a singer and focusing on that craft and songwriting and being on stage. I was able to kind of walk into this gig pretty easily, and I think you were too,
Yeah.
And I think it got us ready for whatever comes our way, because in the end, we can dream the dream and shoot for the stars, but sometimes you might get something that's like a lateral move or just on the side of what you maybe really, really hoped for or whatever, but it's going to be great and great experiences, and you're going to make a living, because in the end, we all have to survive.
For sure, man. And that's what I tell any artists. Like, if you're not a part of a jobbing band, I'm not sure why not, because, like, I can see if you're just going full-fledged with your original music, that makes sense to me.
Right.
But there's so much education in this that I think that people fail to realize, because they look at it as like, oh, it's just a wedding singer, which I hate that word. Like,
the term wedding singer?
Do not call me a wedding singer. I am an entertainer.
Yeah.
Because what you do, no one can carbon copy. What I do, no one can carbon copy. And I believe that I know a lot of vocalists who can do jobbing bands, because to be a jobbing singer, you have to have a very fluid voice. You have to. It is acting. It is a character. It is.
Yeah.
It is theatrics without the corniness. But it takes a certain skill set to do this.
Yeah.
And it takes a certain voice that is fluid with so many different genres to really execute. And I thank God for my job, because it's always going to be here. Because guess what? Someone is always going to go to the damn casino. Someone's always going to go and get married. Someone is always going to need a corporate party.
Yep.
Someone is always going to need some type of vocalist for any special professional event. And as far as I'm trying to feed. I'm not sure if it feeds families, but it definitely helps.
Yeah.
You can definitely do this and do something else during the week if you wanted to, and it's a nice income.
But the only thing that what I don't think people give enough credit to the jobbing world out there for the parties and stuff. It's another way to keep honing the craft as long as you let yourself look at it that way, because you and I might have a similar style to where if you're doing a corporate party or a wedding or something and you're singing a song. I personally try to stay true to that song, but at the same time, I color outside the lines so it keeps it more interesting for me. And if I do an ad lib in a Journey song, I'm not going to do a Stevie Wonder ad lib in the Journey song. I'll try to stay true, but I like it. It's always, all the years that I've ever done cover music, it's always allowed me to learn how to like play within this playground. All right, stylistically, I never sang this song before, but let me explore this style. And then it has always served me when I'm writing. It always served me when I'm doing my own stuff somehow. And whether it's just, I never moved this way on stage, but I did because I've just been doing I'm on my 5th wedding this month or whatever. And I don't know, this move came out of me. Or vocally, I remember I was doing Suit and Tie for the longest time and just found a couple ad libs that I'd never done before, and even like explored a different range of my voice. And I thought, wow, this is okay. Let me keep working on this, and it actually became like a workshop for something that I end up putting in my original shows now. To where my original band was like, whoa, I remember my guitarist in my original band, Chris Siebold, he's like, what have you been doing? Where'd that come from? I'm like, a wedding, suit and tie wedding, So it's funny, it actually feeds the monster. We can enhance our skill set if people get out of that, oh man, I'm selling out, or cover band. Like, no, first and foremost, you're getting paid. But secondly, you're exercising a muscle. I was trained in the martial arts for many years.
Oh, nice.
And I don't train anymore. I like to hit the bag and stuff like that. at my gym, they have those cardio kickbox classes, you know?
Okay, yeah.
And you go in there, and it's funny because I'm like the only dude in this class. Once in a while, there's another dude. It's all girls doing this cardio kickbox class. It's funny because sometimes I think the instructor will forget that there's a dude in there because, like, come on, ladies. And I'm like, come on. Just can't you see ladies and dude? But the form of this kickbox class is more aerobicized. It's not like they're not doing a proper side kick, you know. So whenever they say throw 20 side kicks, I'm doing a proper side kick. So I'm in this cardio kickbox class and I'm using proper form so that my martial arts muscles are actually staying in tune. You know, I still have all those muscles intact because of this hour class that kicks my butt.
Nice.
So it's the same concept, you know. We can do that in the cover band world and enhance the muscles and even improve on our show and not even realize it.
Yeah,
you know?
man.
Whether it's comfort level, whether it's finding a new move, whether it's strengthening the voice, all of it, man. So it's like there's no bad way to go about the jobbing world.
I agree, man.
Or anything. Man, you are a renaissance man. You're a renaissance man. Seriously, I got to have you back on when you start sculpting and painting. And you're like, well, there's this new thing I'm doing. It's a loop paint. Like, what? You'll figure it out.
My who was it who told me this? It was some random. Well, she's not random. My good friend. She was like, "You are such an artist." You know, like, and I'm not saying that for self absorption, but like I just am. I cannot imagine myself doing anything else. I feel like this is what the best I'm at. Like, I look at things differently, which I'm pretty sure you do too as an artist and as a creative, man. Like, I really enjoy cooking. Like, in my household, I'm the one who's I throw down. I'm the one who throws down. Okay. You know, like, I don't know. I've always been like this since I was 5 years old.
You build meals like loops? The cayenne pepper and everything's coming through just like a loop.
And the cayenne is sizzling. It's that's sizzling.
All right, you got to make
a little time in there. Hey.
You got to make a little time on time. You got to make a loop of that. See, that's your next video, man. You know what you need to do? You need to make a music video of one of your loops and make it you cooking something, and every ingredient has to be represented by a new instrument that you're looping. You should totally do that.
Well, you're gonna think I'm joking, but I actually recorded a 12-episode series on YouTube. It's called Music Burger.
Get out of here.
I did this when I was 22, and it's called Music Burger, and it was literally me teaching people how to cook, and then I would invite artists and perform. If you type in Taylor Mallory Music Burger, it's on YouTube.
I need to see this, man. Well, I can't wait to see the episode, and also I want to see some of the on-screen stuff because that's the stuff I haven't experienced yet. So man, I'm looking forward to that. But I hope you had fun, man.
Dude, this was a ball, man.
Appreciate you coming by.
No doubt, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
man.
You've always been cool, and like I said before off the mic, every time I talk to you, I just felt like that's a podcast. This is a podcast. I should have mics. I'm gonna have to have mics with me every time I see you.
I know, right?
You're a walking podcast episode, man.
No, this is fun, man. I love talking and like just conversing, man. It's good when you meet someone like yourself who's able to just have a great dialogue, and it feels good, you know.
Wow, man. You know? Well, you're doing it, man. You are. Seriously, it couldn't happen to a nicer dude.
Thank you, man.
It seems like the basis of what you believe in is, you know, like kind of a love and a purity kind of thing. Like, I like that too. Like, you just seem to bring like a good person sort of vibe to the whole thing, which is nice, you know.
Thank you.
And you seem to be in it for all the right reasons, you know, being an artist and for love of the game, and I like that. And man, you're one diverse mofo, man. You are diverse, you know. It's crazy. So, you know, I'm proud to know you, man, and it's just really cool to hear your tale, and I can't wait to have you back on, you know, in a couple of years or in another 5 months to see what the new adventures are leading to. Yeah, where can people find you? Is there like one hub where is there a website or something? Or
so I feel like with social media now, like it's kind of like dispersed everywhere. But essentially, if you follow me on Instagram, that's where you can kind of get inside my world and know what's going on. But at the same time, I do have a home site with my team. It's called Level Next Music. If you go to levelnextmusic.com, I'm one of the artists on the page.
Next Music.
Yeah, and you can check out some looping videos, what looping is. I have my project, my most recent project on there.
Oh, cool. Okay.
But essentially, if you follow me on Instagram, the link is in the bio, and then you get a cool, experience of like, what I'm doing. I also like snap throughout the day and whatnot. So it's really, if you just Instagram or Facebook me, but I'm more
active on
yeah,
Instagram.
I'm more active on Instagram.
Okay.
So.
There you go, man. You guys met him. Love him. This is Taylor Mallory. Find this dude. 'Cause he can do anything. He can do anything he wants to do. Thank you, man. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Rob.
There you go, folks. Have a great day. Have a great week. Have a great month. Go out and find your smile. So long. That was cool, man.
Yeah, man.
What don't you do?
That was fun, man.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Welcome to my life so far. You'd think by now I'd be a star. I may be long-winded, but hey, there's just so much I have to say. Maybe lick your lips when you're hungry. Maybe drop your head when you're sorry. Maybe shake a bit when you're worried. That's just